Yeah.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Going for Two. I am Kewan Humphreys, and we just witnessed a very, very big upset in the NFL playoffs with the Washington Commanders taking care of business and winning a playoff game on the road against the Detroit Lions, a team that most people believed was the best team throughout the entire season. The Commanders came out and they just hit them in the mouth early and stayed in control. This game was pretty much back and forth for the most part up until the turnovers started happening. The turnovers for Detroit put them behind by 10 points. And in football, especially playoff football, every possession counts the most. Now, the beginning of the game was okay. Detroit gonna do what they do. They scored easy there. I want to say their first or second drive, they scored easy. You know, Jahmyr Gibbs had a couple long runs and a couple passes that he took the distance, and he was able to punch it in. They were up 7-0. Then they forced the stop. Commanders got a field goal, and then it was okay. Bet we kind of know the script. I was thinking about maybe cutting the game off, but then the Commanders scored, made it 10-7, and I said, okay, we got a little game on our hands. But then it was back and forth up until a turnover. Now we see the Commanders up, and then a pick six put the Commanders up by 10, and it was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Jared Goff missed a couple snaps. He didn't miss for too long because they went to halftime. But it just seemed like you were waiting for the Lions to kind of buckle down and get a big stop and then go back and take the lead. But it just never happened. And I want to talk about why it was so hard for the Lions defense to get stops. Let's look at the Lions defense. They are very banged up. This is a very banged up defense. There is no Aiden Hutchinson, and that is the best defensive player they have. He's great at pass rushing. He's one of the best defensive linemen in the game. But without him, they've done a lot more blitzing. We saw it last week, or in Week 18 against the Minnesota Vikings. They sit the house and made quarterbacks get the ball out fast, especially in them third down situations. So what did the Commanders do? They won first down. That is how you counteract, to me, that is how you counteract a blitzing defense. If you're in a third and long situation where you got to pass the ball, they're going to send that blitz because they know you're going to be back there. And if you're in a third and long situation, the quarterback has to hold that ball long enough to give his receivers a chance to pick up the first down. But with the Commanders, 1st and 10, they're getting 3 yards. They're getting 4 yards. They're getting 5 yards. And making that second and long that would have came if they did not get any yards, it would be a 2nd and 5. Then you can do whatever you want on third down and get to a potential 3rd and short, or even sometimes in this game, a 4th and short situation, which they converted. The Commanders were 3 out of 4 on 4th downs, and many of them was inside the 5. They had 2 4th downs that they converted inside the 10, and then they obviously let the scores. It just looked like whenever they needed to make a play, they made it. It was a big catch by Zach Ertz, a big run by Jaden Daniels, a big catch by Terry McLaurin or Jake Bates. They made the plays they needed to make to win this game. Now, I want to move on to the Detroit Lions for just a little bit. I know they lost, but I was going to talk about it for a little bit. Detroit, we knew that we were banged up. That was the storyline for them coming into the playoffs. They're a banged up defense. They just got Anzalone back week 18. They are without Aiden Hutchinson, as I mentioned earlier, and their guys are just beat up. They're beat up all over the defense. I want to say they're missing 3 or 4 guys. And the question was, to me, is this defense going to do enough for their offense to win these games? And it wasn't enough. Now, granted, a pick 6 in the second quarter does not help you out at all by Jared Goff. When you're down by 10 in the fourth quarter, a pick on a trick play where Jamison Williams is throwing the ball down the field does not help your defense. It doesn't. So a team that we saw all year long, they were the number 1 offensive team in terms of yardage, I want to say. They got the yards. They just were not finishing the drive. They would turn the ball over. I want to say the last interception, even though the game was pretty much done and sealed, the last interception was inside the red zone. That was the issue for the entire game from what I saw. They just could not finish all drives. In a shootout, which the Commanders showed they're going to come out and do. They showed they're going to come out and be in a shootout. You got to be able to put points up on the board. If your defense not going to get no stops, you got to put up points on the board. And they just could not do that at the rate that we've seen them do so far earlier in this season. I mean, we saw these guys running hook and ladders. We saw them split. We saw them put O-linemen out at wide receiver earlier this year. That's how dominant this offense was. They were just trying stuff out, doing random stuff. That's the creativity of Ben Johnson. But today they didn't put out the stops. Washington Commanders looks like they're on a dream run. They beat the Buccaneers last week in Tampa Bay. Then come to play against the number 1 seed Detroit Lions at Ford Field and beat them. So now they're looking ahead. You're either gonna have a home game against the LA Rams, or you're gonna have another matchup with division rival Philadelphia Eagles at the Link. And you look at them two teams. If you're Washington, you're thinking, we already beat Philadelphia once this year. And I know Philadelphia fans are saying, hey, Jalen Hurts didn't play that much that game, yada, yada, yada. But a win is a win. A win is a win. And you look at a LA Rams team that you could say is pretty beatable, you know? So, Washington, man, hey, like I said, I thought the Lions would literally run through this game. David Montgomery only ran the ball 7 times for 28 yards. He did not look like himself at all. You kind of saw that they went to him in the first drive and then kind of went away from him for I want to say majority of the whole first half. That he might have got back in early third quarter and started running the ball again. But Jahmyr Gibbs was pretty much the premier back after that first drive for the Detroit Lions. And Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, you can't really the skill players did their job. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 8 catches and over 125 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs had 2 touchdowns and had a great game on the ground and in the catching game. Jared Goff had, besides the interceptions and the turnovers, besides them, he had a, you know what I'm saying, yardage-wise, he had a good game. Like I said earlier, they were moving the ball. They were just finishing their drives the wrong way, and that set them back. It set them back. And I'm really, really excited to see what is the move with this Commanders team. I want to see what's up. Jaden Daniels, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Running the ball, he's very busy. I want to say he ran the ball 16 times for about 50 plus yards. Brian Robinson Jr. also ran the ball 16, 17 times for 50 plus yards as well. So this is a very good dual attack, similar to the one we see. Not as effective, nowhere near as effective, but the way they play, same way they play in Baltimore with Lamar and Derrick Henry. Now maybe down the line we may be able to see, them to mimic that. I don't know I don't think Brian Robinson is going to be nowhere near Derrick Henry. But Jaden Daniels is very talented, and we don't know what his ceiling can truly be as a quarterback in this league. But, y'all know usually I just come out with the whole round. I come out with a whole round recap. But I felt like after this game, after this upset, I gotta give Washington the respect, give them a solo video where I'm just talking about this game. But that's all I got for y'all today, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share with y'all people, man. RIP TikTok. I usually put my little clips on there on TikTok. So we gonna do something on IG and on YouTube Shorts. But until next time, we out of here. Going for 2. Yeah.